The SNP has been skewered for its total lack of leadership after Scotland's exam grades showed a widening gap between the wealthiest and poorest students. This year, 87.3% of Scottish students achieved an A to C grade in their Highers, compared to 89.3% in 2020. But figures from the Scottish Qualifications Authority, SQA, results show that the difference between the proportion of pupils from the wealthiest and poorest areas getting A grades at Higher has increased to 22.1 percentage points. Ian Murray, Shadow Secretary of State for Scotland and Labour MP for Edinburgh South, cited the figures and said Nicola Sturgeon has failed to support Scotland's school pupils and teachers. He said, "I know it's been said before, but it really is worth remembering what Nicola Sturgeon promised the people of Scotland. Education and closing the attainment gap would be her defining mission," she said. Yet this year's results show the gap growing once again. In fact, it's rarely narrowed. There has been a total lack of leadership from the very top. Writing in Edinburgh News, Mr. Murray suggested Ms. Sturgeon's government is at fault for a series of errors for Scottish students. The First Minister's lack of leadership led to, according to the Labour MP, the late cancellation of exams, the shambolic rollout of the alternative certification model, and an appeals system which failed to take this year's extraordinary circumstances into account. He then added, ahead of the recent election, the First Minister said her priority for this term would be tackling the scandal of child poverty. Labour shares that mission. It has always been our priority, which is why Gordon Brown and Tony Blair lifted millions out of poverty. But tackling this is much harder without closing the attainment gap. This education failure highlights the essence of Ms. Sturgeon's politics. When rhetoric is required, she delivers. When delivery is required, she has only rhetoric. In 2020, when exams were curtailed due to the coronavirus pandemic, Scotland's National 5 exams were cancelled. The SQA initially drew up results using a system which took teacher estimates for each pupil, then moderated them based on results from previous years. However, this sparked outrage after 125,000 results were downgraded and claims were made the moderation system unfairly penalised children at schools which had historically not performed as well. The government subsequently agreed to accept the original teacher estimates of grades, and commissioned an independent review of the row. National 5 exams were also cancelled this year, and were replaced with teacher assessments and coursework.